Welcome to the All Jammed Up podcast presented to you by Music Never Stopped. Today is Monday, October 20th, and today on the podcast we have Harry Hart.
What are you doing, podcast for lot?
Yeah.
Come be on a lot podcast.
Yeah, hell yeah, All Jammed Up.
This dude's doing a podcast. If you want to be on some podcast, come do an interview.
Hell yeah.
All
Good morning, fools. Welcome to the All Jammed Up podcast. Today is Monday, October 20th. I'm your host, Clint Dotson, and today on the podcast we have Harry Hart, or as you may know him, Dying Man Tie-Dyes. We've had a lot of talented people on this podcast, different musicians, different artists. This may be one of the most talented people we have and one of the coolest people we've had on the podcast. Harry is a tie-dyer. He's only been doing it for 5 years and is kind of like top of the game as far as tie-dye goes. We get into all kinds of things. What got him into tie-dye, the trial and error, the process of tie-dye, what his goals are for tie-dyeing and changing that perception, as well as some really cool things he's got to do with Widespread Panic and the Chambers Project, which he explains what that is, and just the benefits of betting on yourself. So I think it's really an awesome interview and fun little anecdotal story at the end too. So let's go ahead and get right into it, the interview with Harry Hart.
Hey, it's happening! Everybody stay calm!
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
So are you Jesse from Fireside's like cousin or something?
So Jesse is my brother-in-law.
Okay.
My wife and his wife are sisters.
Okay, gotcha. Because I interviewed him a few weeks back, and you came up in conversation somehow. And I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, I really want to interview that guy. And he was like, dude, just hit him up. If not, I can get you in touch with him. And then sure enough, it was that easy. I just hit you up, and you're like, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think Jesse had mentioned something about that too. He had mentioned something about doing podcasts with you. Have y'all put that up yet, or is it up?
Yeah, that one went out a few weeks ago.
Okay, cool. I'll have to go
Cool.
and check that out for sure.
Nice, man. Well, can you hear me good?
Yeah. Can you hear me as well?
I can hear you perfect, man. Well,
Sick.
I guess go ahead and introduce yourself. You got two names. I don't know which one you want to go by, so I'll let you
Oh,
introduce
yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. My name's Harry Hart, and my tie-dye name, or what people see me as on the internet, is Dying Man Tie-Dyes.
Okay. Yeah, and I stumbled across you probably a year or so ago, and was
Sure.
just kind of blown away by your tie-dye, man. Like, I feel like you see a lot of tie-dye on Instagram, and a lot of the time it's a lot of like similar stuff, and like yours kind of really caught my eye, looked well done. So I'm happy we got this set up. But before we get
Yeah.
too much into the tie-dye of
Mhm.
everything, it seems like what I've gathered, you're kind of a Widespread Panic fan first.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Grateful Dead is my favorite band.
Okay.
Now, given my age, I'm 31.
Okay.
So the band that I was seeing a lot growing up, and still the most today, is definitely Widespread Panic. That is my favorite touring act that I get the opportunity to see,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm 29, so I never got to
Okay,
see
cool.
them either. Billy Strings is kind of who I like, my
Sick.
favorite person to
I
go see.
love going and seeing Billy. See Billy as much as I can too. So
Are you going to
I'm all.
Huntsville next week?
No, man. I have spent so much time working over the last few weeks and traveling for work.
Mhm.
I'm actually going back out to California the first weekend in November, and then again in December. So I'm kind of sticking around home base, just kind of recharging the batteries in between like work trips for the most part these days.
Good for you, man. Yeah, I'm doing like the opposite. I've been working a bunch so I can go on this trip and unwind.
I totally get that, and I love doing that too. And I feel like my life will be going back into that space here in a little
Mhm.
while, and I've been doing that a whole lot over the last few years. So I'm super grateful for the work right now, to say the least. So
Yeah, my girlfriend and I are doing like a we're doing 3 nights in Huntsville for Billy, then we're going to New
nice,
Orleans to see a
nice,
Bucks game because I'm a big Bucks fan.
hell yeah.
And then we're going to Atlanta to see Jamie Buffett, which is like a Jimmy Buffett jam
Yeah,
band.
totally. I've totally heard about them for
And
sure.
then going to Halloween. So we got a busy
Oh,
couple weeks
dude, that
coming up.
sounds sick. That's a hell of a stint right there, man.
Yeah, it's like 12 days, and then we're gonna come home and just be like,
you're gonna crash. It's gonna
Yeah,
be you're gonna go into hibernation mode. But it'll be well earned for sure.
absolutely. Yeah. So back to what we went on. I'm really going
Yeah,
tons of
totally.
tangents, I'm sure, during this,
Hey,
but
yeah, that's total. I'm used to it. That's kind of the name of the game with folks I hang around with.
exactly. So I'll let you go back. Kind of Grateful Dead was kind of what you first got into, like in the jam space.
Yeah, man. I guess I was probably in like seventh or eighth grade, looking up like Grateful Dead songs on LimeWire, and
Yep.
uh, and I remember I saw like Scarlet Begonias and Fire on the Mountain. I had those downloaded, and then Yonder popped
Okay.
over onto that somehow, and the Fish Gin and Juice, the infamous, the
Yep.
gourds. But I think I had those downloaded, and then Yonder with Jeff really was like the first one that I saw. I think I was like a freshman in high school. And then it was like a whole lot of Sound Tribe and Umphreys and that whole scene growing up, but then just slowly developed into sticking with pretty much the Dead and Panic for traveling.
Okay. And who were you? So you were seeing like the Yonder Mountain was like one of the first shows you were actually
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah,
Okay.
most definitely. Yonder and Umphreys and Sound Tribe were the ones that I was seeing when I was still in high school.
Gotcha. But Panic is kind of what stuck with you the most.
Yeah, when college,
Now,
I
where'd you go
think
to college?
I
SEC
went to
school?
I went to the University of Memphis.
Okay.
I was a Tiger. That's where I met my wife.
Okay.
But I was seeing a lot of I was going to like the festival scene and like just seeing as much music as I could, and then I think it was like I'd seen Panic in high school a few
Hmm.
times, but it was at Beale Street Music Festival. It's
Okay.
such a huge festival when you're there with all your friends in high school. It's not the same environment that you get outside of that. And in college, I got hook, line, and sinked by a show in South Haven in 2011, I think.
Okay.
And then it was pretty much just Panic after that.
What do you think it was like about Panic compared to all these other guys that you were seeing that like made it just be like these are the ones for me?
Um, I love blues and rock and roll,
Okay.
traditionally, growing up with a lot of funk and soul in my house too. But I really think it was the people.
Hmm.
It was the folks that I was seeing the shows with and that I had started to see shows with. But I mean, obviously the music hits me in a way that I can't really express, but I think it's the culmination of the music with the people. It's my favorite scene to be around.
Yeah, I thought I read on Instagram that like 4/5 of your wedding party was like dudes you met at
Yeah.
Widespread. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one run in particular, my campsite that I had met like one or two of the cats that I was going to camp with at
Hmm.
Wani in 2015, and but I didn't know like any of the other guys that were there. And we went and threw up camp, and me and two of my buddies drove up there. And then after that weekend, I think that I was like pretty much just going on tour with that campsite. So I think that
Okay.
I had one, two, three, four guys in my wedding I met that weekend ended up being in my bachelor party. Yeah.
Hell yeah, that is awesome.
It's a blessing to say the least. Yeah, there's
How
a
many
bunch of good
wides
guys.
how many widespread shows do you think you've been to?
Uh, you know, I was asked that question at Playa a few Playas ago, and I finally got on Fantasy Tour and started getting up. I think it's somewhere around like 150 or so. I haven't caught the full. I haven't checked it in since, like about a
Hmm.
year or so ago. I caught about 10 shows this year and a few last year,
Nice.
but somewhere in that realm
Yeah,
of
those are
about
serious
150.
numbers.
Yeah, I used to see them a whole lot. That's my favorite band in the land for sure.
So over 150 shows though, the Dead's a big influence too. Have you seen a lot of Dead and Company?
Yeah, I was seeing more further stuff when I really got on it, and
Okay.
then I see a lot of Dark Star, and I saw like the Fare Thee Well shows in
Hmm.
2015 and stuff. I've seen probably 15 or so Dead and
Are you
Company
not a
shows.
huge Dead and Co fan?
No, 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 no hate. No, I'm not a huge Dead and Company fan. I just don't travel to see them.
Okay.
If that says anything, but I'll totally throw on a Dead and Company show from tour or something. But I've listened to the Grateful Dead mm,
A
10 out
long
of 10
time.
times. 10 out of 10 times over Dead and Company. But that's just personal preference. No shade or hate or anything like that towards Dead and Company. Those are a great group of guys.
Now, seeing some of these other iterations like Further and Dark Star, do you have one that like obviously you and I have never seen the Grateful Dead, but like one that you prefer
Sure.
to see the most?
I wish that J-Rad was
Uh,
playing more in the Southeast. But I mean, I love DSO. I mean,
yeah.
that's they come around me the most. So, I'm close to like their cave shows. I have a bunch of buddies who work up at the caverns. So they'll come and play the cave a bunch or, whatever is around Nashville. But I mean, I wish I could see J-Rad all the time. I love Jay
I-
Russo.
They're gonna be at Halloween, so I'm stoked to see them.
Yeah, that's a great way to listen to the Grateful Dead's music for sure.
Have you been to the Dark Star Jubilee in Ohio, or is that too far for
No,
you?
no, I haven't. I know I have a lot of buddies who go every single year,
That one's
but
good, man.
yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about it though.
Nice. Well, I guess we can get into everybody who's probably listening is like, enough with the talk, get into the tie dye. So you started like relatively recently for
Yeah,
speaking in terms, but like kind of tell
yeah,
us how
without
you
a
got
doubt.
into, because what I'm intrigued is like, to me, tie dyeing is like such a, it's a recreational fun thing. Anyone can do it. And like, I'm sure you had to start there at some point. And
Oh
like,
yeah, without a
to,
doubt.
to be where you're at now, like, I'm just curious to see like why you wanted to start doing that and like how to get to where you're at now.
Well, dude, that's totally that's a long-winded question.
It's a good thing we're on a podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it all kind of started in COVID. Um, I was bored with a buddy of mine, and his dad used to make dyes back in the 80s or something like that. And he had sent my buddy, who we were like sheltering in place with or whatever. He was a single guy, and we had just my fiance at the time, we're sitting by ourselves and we were like, well, dude, you should just be able to come with us. Like, we won't go and see anybody else. We don't want you to
Mhm.
be by yourself. And he brought over this kit and we all made tie dyes that day. I was like, for some reason, really excited about it and was like looking on the internet of all these designs. Like you said, there's so much information now with the
Yeah.
internet, which is so great for everybody to be able to make tie dyes, and good tie dyes at that. Quickly because of how good information that there is out there. Um, but I made this dye, and dude, within within a week or so, I had a dream about tie dye, and I was like bit by this bug. And this bug turned into making tie dyes every single day from that point on till today,
Well, now,
basically.
before you started tie dyeing, were you like, because I feel like kind of all of the like bands, Panic's kind of got like the least amount of tie dye.
Yeah, dude, and I myself also am the guy who wears probably the least amount of tie dye for tie dyers. If
Okay.
that says anything.
So you weren't really that into it before.
Nah, no, not at all, dude.
Okay.
I mean, I see it on the scene. But I never really saw good. Like, no, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that I never saw good tie-dye. I totally saw good tie-dye, and I think all tie-dye is good tie-dye. So
Hmm.
I don't want to say that I never saw good tie-dye. I think that I'd say I never was exposed to tie-dye through somebody who had a real passion for
Yeah.
tie-dye
Okay.
at that point. And then I found this subculture within all of these cultures that I was a part of and just went down a rabbit hole, dude. I mean, like, I was working and then every single day I would come home from work or during COVID, as soon as I got done with work, I would make tie-dye for like 6 to 8 hours. So I was working like 18-hour days just because I wanted to, you
Yeah.
know? And then I just had this, I saw this guy, Landon Bennett. He's a huge inspiration for my art, and he helped me so much when I was first starting. I heard he said in a podcast actually, that I was listening to, he said that he liked the Grateful Dead and he wanted to tie dye with anybody else who did too. And I was like, stuck in my house in COVID, I was like, dude, hell yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
let's smoke some weed and let's make some tie-dye together. And he came and felt me out and like made sure I was cool, before he invited me over to the house. And I came over there and man, we made this psychedelic tie-dye and I'd never made a tie-dye in this style before. And he made a fold and then I made a fold and then another buddy made a fold until it was folded, and then he made a tie, and then I made a tie, and then my buddy would make a tie, and we did that till it was tied.
Can
And
you
then,
explain the difference between like a fold and a tie?
so you're anything you see, like for instance, this
Mm-hmm.
behind me is a piece of fabric that you typically would fold in half. But you then take, your piece of garment or fabric, and then by folding that into a shape, there's your fold. And then you
Okay.
have a binding. So most people think about rubber bands, but tie dyers don't really, I mean, they still use rubber bands, but typically tie dyers will be using things that are like uh, artificial sinew, which is like old school, like deer intestines that like
Okay.
Native Americans would use. So
Yeah.
it's like a wax thread. But this is a synthetic version of that, or fishing line, or um, bowstring, or other binding elements like that. But then you would take that and you would tie it off, and then there is the tie portion. So
Okay.
it's the tie, and then you dye it.
Got
So
it.
that's
Yep.
the whole little name of the game. But yeah, it's I did that with him, and we tied and we dyed it all the way through as a unit. Like we were doing this as one, and we didn't know where it was starting or where it was ending. And I'd never been exposed to just free flow, like turn your brain off, just be immersed into this thing without thinking. And that itself is like an art to be able to accomplish that. It's
Yeah.
so hard to turn your brain off. And that was this exposure that I had. And then he dropped it. He lived in an airplane hangar at the time, which is a wild situation. And he drops it from the second story, like where the apartments are. There's like the bottom floor is like the common area, and then the giant like area of the garage, of this airplane hangar, and then upstairs is the apartments that pilots would live in that were crop dusting there. And he went to the top and he dropped it from the top of the railing and then projected a light on it, and this color changing light hit this thing, and my perception of tie-dye changed at that
Yeah.
moment. And I wanted to show everybody what that felt like, because it can simulate and create feelings of psychedelics, like what it feels like to be under the influence of psychedelics. And it can do it to people who've never even ingested these things.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show everybody that. I wanted to and then if you like psychedelics, then it's even better. So I mean there's a there's a whole
That's my
world of that.
relationship with tie-dye.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. And I wanted to show that to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And the next 4 or 5 years, is kind of just full blown. I don't I can't even think about the things that are happening. They're just kind of happening. And I am just along for the ride. It's like hard to even describe the things that I've had the opportunities for as of lately.
So what is the like I imagine at first when you're doing it and you're tying all these things, like you don't really have an idea of what you're gonna create, right?
So you have this idea, funny enough, you have this idea of what you think you're going to create, and then you do it, and then it doesn't come out like you think it's going to be. So you're like, oh, I'm going to try this really complicated design. And then you do it, and you like think that you do this thing right. Then it looks like shit.
Yeah.
And or you're like completely lost in the fold. Like there's this fold called the Ron fold, which is a commemorative fold to an old Grateful Dead tie-dyer. And I could not, for the life of me, understand how to flip this fold back and forth and to tie it. I had to watch this video for like like in slow motion, like 150 times, I feel like. And when I think about it now, it's like the simplest concept of all time, but it's such a foreign language when you first start this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
but the best way that I would describe it, or the easiest metaphor that I like to use, it's like, do you know when you're in kindergarten and you're creating a snowflake
Yeah.
and
Yeah. You just
you
cut the like.
fold that thing up into whatever the shape that it tells you to, and then you draw out, a triangle and you cut that out.
Yep.
That's like the same concept as like making a mandala or some of the other repetitive, pleated designs. It's like that exact same concept, just on a larger scale.
So are you like drawing on it
Yeah.
before? Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's a bunch of math. My protractor is my best friend. And
Gotcha.
funny enough, I I will sorry, Mr. Myers, this is an apology to you. I in sixth or in ninth grade, I was in geometry and I was being a little shit in class, and I was like,
I already know where
when
this
the
is going.
hell am I ever gonna use a protractor or geometry in real life? Huh? Tell me that, Mr. Myers. And I'm just like running my mouth because I was so frustrated with having to do this. And he was like, you never know what you're gonna do. And I was like, yeah, right. And sure enough,
It's your
uh
best friend now.
it is literally my best friend now. So I got to eat my own words, and it's a very humbling lesson to learn. But kind of funny in the irony within itself.
So when you do like, I'm sure now it doesn't happen as much, but like when you're getting better and like learning as you go, and
Mm.
you do something like behind you, that's a big project you spent. Like behind you, how much did that take you? Like how long did
So
that take
that
you?
one, that is something that I'll probably not ever sell. It's like the first large scale reverse dye that I did.
Hmm.
So it's funny, I don't really have a whole lot of my own tie dye. I have that piece, and then there's one above my bed, and then that's like all the tie dye that I have that's my own. I collect a
Yeah,
lot of my friends and my peers,
I feel like
and
that's normal.
I collect their tie dye. I don't wear my own. That's another thing. I don't wear my own tie dye. I only wear my friend's
Yeah.
tie dye. But my studio has one of my pieces and like 20 of everybody else that I look up to. But I mean, so this one, so with a reverse dye, that's even longer. That's a black piece of fabric that you tie up.
God damn.
So you draw this thing out, you draw it out, and then you fold it, and then you tie it, and then you have to put it in a discharge bath, which is either with bleach or without white bright, to remove the black from the fabric.
So why don't
And
you just use a
then,
white from the beginning?
so because it gives you see how these are black lines?
Uh-huh.
You see that? Normally those would be white, right?
Okay.
So in a
Okay.
normal tie-dye, but it gives it a little bit more of a muted tone and a little bit more of a dramatic. I don't know. It's a little more palatable for like your home or to wear all the time and to not stand out, if that
Okay.
makes any
Yeah.
sense. I love subtle psychedelic. I love bright tie-dye too, but like you'll catch me wearing reverse dyes that are like brown and black because it's like what I would wear before I started making tie-dyes. But I
Yeah.
mean, this thing, you would tie it up. That takes a few hours of tying and dyeing, and then you have to remove the color, and then you have to wash all that out, and then you have to dehydrate it, so take all the moisture out. Then you dye it, then you batch it, then you have to wash it out, then you have to boil it. So I mean, that one takes a week. That's like a week's worth of work inside of that for
So
sure.
like a 40-hour work week to make that?
Yeah, and a lot of that depends on you get I find I take a lot of pride in my
Obviously,
time.
yeah.
I value my time so that I have more time to spend with my wife and more time to, you know, do the things that I want. So I think that working efficiently and effectively is something that I have taken a long time to develop. But I mean, something like that that could take me a week, would have taken me a
Yeah.
whole lot longer, a few years back. But then I just started working with huge pieces, just like back to back to back to back. And I was just like, I want to engulf the world in psychedelic tie dye. And
Mm-hmm.
like, I just hit the ground running. And then like I started doing a lot of stage backdrops is where the next kind of thing. The Panic fans helped me a lot develop like my fundamentals, right? So like I finally got the balls to tell everybody that I was making tie-dye, and I was like super nervous about posting my first shirts and stuff like that that I thought were like, worthy of
Yeah,
showing.
yeah.
And they were like, I want some. So I then like took in custom orders. And then I did for about a year, I took in custom orders and I would just make and recreate of certain variations of the same things. And I just like honed in on this craft, like doing the same things over and over again. My brain, I could do these things in my sleep. I just started to be able to like run through this stuff. And then I got kind of like tired of shirts a little bit, and I was just like, well, I want to make things that are big. So I
Yeah.
started just knocking that out for like a year, and then started going towards stage backdrops. And I started doing some festivals, and I started doing K-Fest every year, and then I did Cabinets last show at the Get Down. I did a huge piece that was like 18 by 24 feet and had like Sam Grissman and a bunch of other cats come and play in front of that. Um, and then I gifted JoJo a piece at their first show back um, at the AC run after Jimmy's
Mm-hmm.
extended stint for his medical issues. And I was not gonna miss those shows. And we went up to AC, and I had talked with somebody who was in the camp, and I was like kind of getting some ideas. I was like, I'm gonna make a gift for the band, and I made like 40 shirts for the crew. And they're like all black on the front, just say home team, and then a subtle piece on the back so that they could wear it while they were working. And it would be that subtle psychedelic, that
Yeah.
motif that I like so much. And I gave them the shirts, and then I looked up the all the astral elements to JoJo's birthday, and then so I haven't ever actually told anybody this publicly. Some of my friends and stuff know. So the piece that I made for JoJo, it's a mandala that just radiates from the center, but it starts 7 inches from the center because his birth month is in July, and then it's the 18th. So I did an 18-point mandala colored in the colorway of the Cancer sign. So it's an astral birthday. It's his birthday that is sit to him on his piece that he plays now with, and that was like I gave it to him, and then it didn't go on stage the first 2 nights, and I was like super tired from the run. And I was like, I'm just gonna hang in the rafters and chill in the back on Sunday night. And my wife calls me, and her flight actually got canceled. So she wasn't even supposed to be there on Sunday. She had to get back to work, but they canceled her flight. And she got to go into the show on Sunday, and she was like, I was hanging in the back, and she called me, and she was like, dude, you got to get down here. And I was like, why? And she was like, your fucking tie-dye's on stage. And
Let's
I was
go.
like, what, dude? I was like, oh my God. And I go down there, and I think they opened up that night with the song called Blue Carousel. And it's funny because like if you look at this piece, it's like a circular blue piece, and they had all these blue lights shining on it. And I don't know if that was because, they were, acknowledging that or finding a way to play into it, but I was appreciative, of the thought,
Fuck
even if
yeah.
it's a possibility, because I'm never saying that they were doing any of those things for me, because that's not the way that I like to look at things. But it definitely made me shed a tear at the
Yeah,
time
man,
for
that is
sure.
awesome. That's
Yeah, it
so
was
cool.
yeah, and then that kind of developed then I got a call from them later on, and Sony was like, um, you know, I want some color up here too, you know. And
Yeah,
I was
fuck
like,
yeah.
holy shit, dude. Somebody just called me and asked me if you want some tie-dye. So I went up there and I made these two mock-up designs of uh some dyes that go in front of his risers so that instead of they have these riser skirts that are they got to be flame retardant, but they've just been black for the last 20 odd years. They've changed them up a little bit. B said these have been around for like, I can't recall the exact number of time, but he said they've been black for a while and he was looking to spice it up a little bit, but he didn't want it to like be, they themselves are just like, I don't want it to be like tie-dye, dude. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be like, rainbow all over the place. So I kind of got to like work out a design and then we put the riser skirts in front of Dwayne underneath JoJo's piece two and Sunny. So the whole back row has, if you're in the pit, you can see there's like 18 to 24 inched all the way around the three sides of their risers now too. So there's been four pieces up there since uh the Nashville run in April. So
Damn.
very, very, that's a
So that was there when I
dream.
saw him in Charleston.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
dream. That's a dream come true that I didn't even have the time to dream up. It was
Hmm.
like this stuff just happened, and then like next thing you know, it was there, and I still can't even really believe that they are. I mean, like I personally like say holy shit every time that I
Yeah.
even see a photo of it because it's like my just huge inspiration for my life in so many ways and for a little bit of a give back from them and an acknowledgement and appreciation um is hard to put into words. Truly
Yeah,
is.
man. Congratulations. That is
Yeah,
so
thank you,
awesome.
dude.
Yeah.
I've never really, like I said, I've never really, talked about these things publicly.
You
I
should.
I
It's
well,
badass.
I tried to keep I just always want to keep gratitude and try to be humble with the elements that are put in front of me because there's so many people who work so hard and
Hmm.
there's so many people who put in as much time or whatever it is and the same cards haven't been played or whatever and I just want I don't ever think I'm deserving, but I'm fucking enjoying the ride, I'm just gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. That's for sure. But, I just try to keep a cool head and I mean I'm like my stomach's turning right now thinking about the
Yeah, I
fact that
bet.
that they're on stage, man. I mean it's a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah, I have more questions regarding the success you had, but before we get into that, I want to knock you down a peg. What happens when you spend all these hours on a tie-dye and it's like not what you wanted or it's like it didn't come out? Like, do you just have to scrap it and restart, or are there ways to fix things
I
like that?
fuck it. Man, depends on the headspace that I'm in at the time. Sometimes sometimes I'll just throw to like I won't even
Yeah,
wash it.
that's what I feel like. I would
I
get
won't
mad.
even wash it out. I won't even see if it's I'll see one thing I don't like and I'm just like, hell no. I'm out, just toss it. And so many other people are probably not going to like that I just said that because there are definitely ways and people would probably even like the piece
As is,
as it
yeah.
well as it was, but I was like, oh no way. Like I'm not going to do that, but there are ways to go about. You can go into it and um, try to do a touch up, but I mean, honestly, dude, you just got to scrap it and cut
Forget
the
it.
losses and use try to the biggest thing that I try to do is take something from it, after I, kick the ground one time and toss this thing in the trash can and go and smoke a doobie to clear my head, I come back and I'm like, all right, well, what's the reason for that?
Yeah.
What was the thing that did that? And instead of being frustrated at it anymore, I look at it as a positive thing because now I know why that was or what to do to prevent that.
Hmm.
So I try to not let those bad things, I mean, like, dude, I spent like a week on those panic risers, and they were like a little bit hydrophobic, which happens because I didn't pre-treat my material enough. And hydrophobic, what that means is that it's afraid of water. So
Yeah.
I spent all these times and try to put water on it and it beads up and repels and won't even go into the garment.
Mm,
And I spent all this time doing these
mm,
pieces and they came out and then my deadline was then cut like to nothing. So then I worked
yeah.
for like 24 hours straight, like 2 days in a row, and then got it done. But I mean, like,
And there's
you
certain
know,
things you can't rush, right? Like you have to wait for the process of like,
oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
there's always ways, science is great. There's ways to go about it, but yeah, I mean, you just kind of play the waiting game. And that's the crazy thing about this art form is that you you spend so much time on this piece of art but then you don't even know what the hell it looks like or what it's going to be for another day. And then you still don't even know for a few hours after that. So, like, unlike a painting or unlike a sculpture or a piece of glass or whatever your media, music, you can hear these things immediately as you learn and you progress. With
hmm
tie dye, you have to wait and be patient. And it's
that's the
something that
hard
I
part.
definitely had to learn. I am super far from patient, but it's taught me a lot about patience.
Well, if you have anything that you mess up and if you, instead of throwing it away, I'll get you my address after that. You just send it to me.
Yeah, I used to do that all the time. It's funny. I would wear them and I would give them to my buddies, and then they would wear them all the time. And then I realized, dude, you guys are wearing these pieces that I said that I didn't even want out, so I gave them to you for free, and y'all wear them more than your normal t-shirts. I was like, no. I was like, we're not doing this anymore. But I'll definitely get your address. And I got some burners that I'm thinking of that are back there right now
Yeah,
that could definitely use a
I'll only wear them around the house.
yeah. I
Fingers
mean, dude,
crossed.
you can wear them out wherever you want to, man. They're pieces of history just like all the other ones and lessons learned and failures and all that stuff. So,
Well, I briefly mentioned it a few minutes ago, but all those failures, lead you to the success you had now. And
a lot
I'm
of
not
failures for
too
sure.
familiar with what the Chambers Project is, but I know
Yeah,
that you just had a
I
big
did.
exhibit there, right?
I did. I had my first gallery exhibition there. And here, let's see if is
Can
it
you
too dark in here?
explain? I can see pretty good, but can you
Okay, cool.
explain what the Chambers Project is first?
Yeah, the Chambers Project. The Chambers Project is an art gallery and a music venue, as well as like a 501c3 for the music venue. So I'll back up a little bit. It's basically art gallery that a guy named Brian Chambers started. I don't know the exact year that he developed the Chambers Project. He'd had a few galleries before that, like one in New Orleans, and I can't remember call some of the other places, but the Chambers Project is an art gallery that is catered towards psychedelic art,
Okay.
and
That's my
it
extent of it.
might be, like I said, I don't like to use words like most, best, or like, definitive words that I don't always know all the sides to the story about. But I mean, I feel like is one of the pinnacle, if not, the pinnacle for psychedelic art that's valued as, historical or influential in our scene that's really made huge sonic waves in the psychedelic art communities that are kind of reflected from this place. And then they have a music venue that's attached to it on the other
Okay.
side. And so like during my showcase, they had a Grateful Dead band that was a killer group of musicians that they put together, and they were playing while the gallery was open on the other side, and people were able to walk back and forth freely and walk in and out. There's a lot of art that's over there too that's very psychedelic and fits the motif for sure. But it is if you haven't been, you should definitely put one of their events on your, radar or on your calendar because the art and the people that are involved in making this place happen are top tier humans, artists, you name it, man. They
hmm
are great people, great artisans, and you should definitely check them out. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
I actually have my showcase. It's called Dead to the Core. It was the first tie-dye showcase that they've ever had there.
Awesome. Nice,
And
man.
which was a very humbling thing. Here, my dog actually
No worries.
is knocking on. Hey, get back out of here. Look, go this way. Thank you, baby.
Might have to leave this part in.
That's my heart and soul, dude. That's my best friend, Miss Tony gal. But yeah, it started on September 27th, and I had some amazing collaborations that I was involved with and had help curating, as well as a lot of solo work that's there. And it started the 27th, and it'll be up towards the first week or so in November. And then they'll be clearing house, and they're getting ready for the biggest event that they've ever put on, which is an officially licensed Grateful Dead 60-year retrospective that they're showcasing for the next 6 months. And their first party is this huge party with like Graham Lesh and all these amazing
Mm,
musicians coming in to create a super band playing some really cool instruments that are very historical in the Dead scene. So I won't give away all the surprises, but there's some cool instruments that are coming, as well as like the top tier coveted Grateful Dead memorabilia, original artworks, paintings, collectible items, guitars are all going to be housed under one roof. And you'll be able to go and all going to be under one roof. And it's going to be a hell of a party. So you should definitely check for sure. It's in December. And then they'll be doing showcases for the next 6 months, all endorsed by the Grateful Dead.
Hell yeah, man. So how was your experience exhibiting there? What was that like for you?
It was the outside of marrying my wife and our wedding night, it was the single most amazing experience that I've had the opportunity to be a part of.
Hell yeah, man.
I spent a few months curating these pieces and working with Brian, working with other artists of all sorts of mediums. I had a collaboration with a guy in the Philippines, so pieces traveled all over the world, to create this. And I got to put them up and display them in a way that tie-dye deserves and needs to be displayed to fully experience it. Tie-dye has to be displayed well, or else it looks kind of shitty.
Hmm.
When you just hang up a tie-dye and there's wrinkles or there's creases or it's not flat or the lighting's not right, it looks all right. But when you have an opportunity to display them in a way that shows people the true threshold of what tie-dye can be, not what tie-dye is uh, perceived as. It was amazing, dude. I mean, like to see these people who have been in the scene for a long time be like, I've never seen tie-dye displayed like that. And I'm hoping to change that. I'm hoping that people in the art community try not to think about this counterculture spiral, like
Hmm.
this shitty tie-dye t-shirt that, like I said, I don't think any tie-dyes are shitty. I think even the bad ones still look good. But, I think a lot of art people in the art scene view it as that. And I would like to try to break that mold and work on ways of orientation that are different, work on
Yeah.
different things to change that opinion. And that was the first step, I think, for my own journey to accomplishing, some of those goals.
Yeah, and so I guess like only doing it for 5 years, you're still like so young and really new to
So
the
yeah,
scene.
super green in the sense of like some of these guys have been making dyes for longer than I've been alive.
Yeah. So like what happens next? What do you want to have happen next to like reach those goals? Like what boundaries are you trying to push? What new things are you trying to do within your dies?
So I've got some stuff cooking up right now. I won't go super far into detail because the plans aren't fully set in stone, but we're figuring out the ways to make it happen. But for me, I'd love to continue to do art releases that have shirts and affordable things for the people who love to collect tie-dye. And then I'd like to continue where I'm at with these larger profile things that are a little bit more expensive, but are more impactful, have stories that correspond
Hmm.
with them, you know, all of that. But man, I want to work on project work. I want to do large scale installations, like things that would be in airports that they're so big, and work on stuff like that that maybe hasn't been done on that scale. I know that Courtney Pollock, the Courtney was the Grateful Dead's tie-dye artist, and mad respect for he's arguably the most influential, you know, tie-dye artist of the counterculture scene to work with larger profile pieces to create backdrops for the Grateful Dead as well as other huge installations. And I'd love to kind of continue that path. And I'd love to work with people who have these really cool and unique spaces. Like, say that there is an art collector or a car collector who has a garage that he loves to collect these cars. Why not have a piece of art that pulls the colors out of these cars, or you know, complements the compositions that are in these rooms? Or if they have a large, you know, event space or an airport, you know, I'd like to just kind of go bigger and bigger, and as well as expose it to more of the general population, I guess,
Yeah.
so to speak. And to kind of like change the whole perception on this craft and hobby styled art form and look at it more as a just an art form.
Fuck yeah. Well, I think you're on a great start for it.
Well, I appreciate that, dude. Yeah, man, it's a shit ton of work, and a lot of long nights and sore fingers, but I wouldn't take any of this away for the world, man. It's the biggest blessing that it's given me purpose, man. I mean, like, outside of my wife, like, I was at a dead end job. Not really. It was actually a great job. You know, I just fucking hated it. It
I
was
know
a
how
great
that
job,
goes.
man. And they offered me, you know, a raise and a promotion, and I was like, "You're gonna have to give me a second." I was going in there to quit, and they offered me a promotion, and I was like, "I gotta go talk to my wife about this." They offered me like double my salary, and I came back and I was like, I'm just going to waste your time and my time, and I'm going to waste your money because I'm going to take your money for a year and then I'm going to quit anyways. And I was like, I respect you guys, and I think that y'all are a great company. It would have been something that is like recession proof, you
Yeah.
know, but I was basically the tax man, and
Mm-hmm.
fuck the tax man, you know? I mean, like, there's literally parables and songs written about the tax man for days. And I couldn't do it anymore, dude. And I don't ever I hope that I don't ever have to do that again. You know, I definitely wouldn't do that job, but I hope that I can make up for all those bad calls that I had to do and say that, hey, you know, I got to repossess your whatever, and
Yeah.
make some smiles with some tie dye instead.
Hell yeah, dude. Well,
Yeah.
we're coming out of time. This has been a blast, man. I feel like we're friends now. I'm rooting for you,
Yeah, dude. I
dude. That
come up to
was
Asheville. I come up, dude. Hold on. No, we ran into each other at your buddy Jesse was playing a backyard party in
Oh
Asheville,
yeah,
and
yeah.
inside the house, I was like, I thought that you were uh what's the fucking dead account? Music Never Stopped. And
Yeah.
we were inside the house waiting for the John, and I was like, I know your face, dude. I definitely have seen your face before. And I
Holy
stopped you for a
shit.
second.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That
Yeah, so
is
I was there in
so
town just hanging out with Jesse and Kara and Rose.
funny, man. Yeah, I didn't even
Yeah.
think about that. Well, next time
That
I'm
was a
up your
fun,
way.
fun, fun little backyard party, man. It was a
It
good
was,
time.
dude. Yeah, those are fun. It's funny because he was
Yeah.
just Jason, the guy who hosted it. He was just on the podcast Monday
Oh,
with Tommy from Fireside. I had the two
oh,
of them
no
on.
way.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's sick.
that is
Oh, yeah,
so
I
funny,
chatted
man.
with him for a little bit, but yeah, man, Fireside, that's
it's my family. So I was like, well, yeah, I'll come in town, check out this backyard party. It sounds like my kind of speed.
Yeah, man, you are so right. That is I didn't even,
Yeah,
I feel like you might have told me that you were the
I, I I was like, I think you gave me a sticker, and I was like, man, I wish I had a sticker to give you, but I'm a stoner, and I totally forgot stickers at my house.
Damn,
But
that is so funny. Well, next time I'm
yeah,
up your way, we'll have to get up and
yeah,
with
man, there's
your
always shows between Nashville and Asheville, and how many people ask if you said either Nashville or
yeah.
Asheville. You're gonna have a lot of opportunity for us to hang out here
And
in the
you're
next
friends
few
with
weeks.
Alex King too, right?
Oh, that's my boy, dude. Him and
Yeah.
P and the Sticker Boys, Air Show, all those. Nashville's got a lot of the homies around. So
Yeah.
you're not short of you could make a trip up here and knock out some podcasts in the studio or something like that. I got a cool backdrop, and we can have some homies come out, play some music, and get some content for you.
Hell yeah, man. We'll definitely have to be in touch about that. But thanks
Yeah,
for coming on, dude. This has been a
yeah,
blast.
for sure, dude. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
You just got jammed.
Welcome back, everybody, from that interview with Harry Hart. That guy's the man. It's always really fun to get these kind of interviews that are still really heavily in the scene, but not exactly musicians, because sometimes those conversations tend to go the same way. And getting like a different outlook on a different art is really fun. So I really enjoyed that one. Hope you guys did too. To address Thursday's episode, it was on Spotify for a little bit, then it got taken down, apparently to copyright laws, but it's still on YouTube and Apple Music, so you can go watch it or listen to it there. That song's at the end of every single podcast. Only that one got flagged for copyright. I also have permission from Kendall Street, so I'm not sure what the issue was there. If you listen to the podcast, the guest was kind of anti-Spotify. Some of his remarks, I don't know if maybe it got flagged for the content of it, and the copyright's just an excuse for it. I don't really know. There won't be the Kendall Street outro at the end of this just because I don't want this episode to get taken down either. But still working with Spotify and Kendall Street to get that all sorted, so hopefully it's taken care of by Thursday's episode. But we'll have another great episode on Thursday, a good Chloe's Corner where we'll preview Billy Strings and Halloween, our big trip that we kind of talked about in the interview with Harry. But yeah, guys, so I just wanted to address that. If you're a Spotify listener and you want to check that episode out, it's still on YouTube and Apple Music. So we'll figure out the rest. But have a great week, guys. See you again on Thursday. And remember, wherever you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be.